So, back for another Funconventional, and this time I'm going to be going over Mr. Rime, Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime-Galarian. So you get 3 for 1 with this one. Because I thought, since Mr. Rime won, I might as well cover the Mr. Mimes as well. And that's including the Cantonian one, because people would have probably forgotten that Cantonian Mr. Mime exists at the moment. You probably forgot that regular Mr. Mime, not regular, Galarian Mr. Mime existed as well, because they are not top meta, let's say, but they still have somewhat of niches, and you got to play for the Pokemon's niches if you are going to be bringing them. So we'll start off with Mr. Rime, because that is the main one, and I always start off with the set that I'm going to be using in the Believe in Boyts. So this is going to be probably Mr. Rime's best set. I've only got 2 sets for Mr. Rime here, but that's because you do need to be playing for the niches of Mr. Rime. Like, obviously Mr. Rime gets Trick Room and all this stuff. There are definitely better Trick Room Pokemon. So really, you want to be playing for the niches of the Pokemon. And this niche, again, maybe getting a bit old, but the niche is Ice Shard your own Dragapult. It definitely is with Mr. Rime. Now, with the Assault Vest, you're going to have reasonable bulk. You're going to have Fake Out pressure as well next to the Dragapult. So you've got the potential of going for things like Fake Out Dragon Dance and then Ice Shard yourself. And not too many other Pokemon get that. I think that Sableye can do it as well with Fake Out and Shadow Sneak. But then Sableye does all other prankster shenanigans stuff. Whereas Mr. Rime actually has very reasonable special attack. Like, a base 110 special attack is definitely respectable. And that's why I think it has somewhat of an issue with the Dragapult with this moveset. Because you have Psy-Shock over Psychic. So, because you definitely want to be Ice Sharding your own Dragapult to get the weakness policy, you want to be going for big max Phantasms with the Dragapult. And obviously, Psychic is not going to make use of those defense drops that you get with the Phantasms, but Psy-Shock will. So it is a special attacker that will be able to make use of the defense drops of the Dragapult. Like, obviously, any Psychic Pokemon can do that, but how many Psychic Pokemon can also activate the weakness policy of the Dragapult and go for Fake Out? Gothitelle almost can, if it learns Sucker Punch. But yeah, that's probably the main niche of the Mr. Rime as well. Obviously, another very nice niche that only its line gets is the Screen Cleaner, because Lapras is definitely picking up in popularity, and Screen Cleaner being able to get rid of the screens is very, very nice. It's a little bit niche, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? So you want to be leaving that Mr. Rime in the back, or maybe leading with it, Fake Out, switch back in, try and waste the Lapras turns. Lapras is not going to be doing too much damage to Mr. Rime with the Assault Vest anyway, so it can easily switch in on any of the moves that the Lapras wants to go for. Even if you switch in while it's still in G-Max, and then switch out and then switch back in to get rid of the screens, it will definitely work. And then Freeze Dry is just really the coverage you want to be able to hit the water types as well. Freeze Dry in general, if you have access to Freeze Dry, you probably want it over Ice Beam in general. Because it does hit those water types. Psy-Shock will hit the water types as well, but Freeze Dry going to be able to hit Dracovish much better, Ludicolo, Gyarados, and Gastrodon as well. So those are big reasons why you would want Freeze Dry instead. And it does have actually pretty reasonable coverage as well. You could go Psychic if you wanted, if you weren't really pairing it with the Dragapult, but really it should be Psy-Shock over Psychic because it should be paired with the Dragapult. But then you've got things like Energy Ball and Thunderbolt as pretty nice coverage as well. And Icy Wind is also a very good move to have with any Assault Vest Pokemon with speed control, but Mr. Rime is probably a bit too slow to make use of it, unfortunately. But next set with Mr. Rime, it's actually a pretty cool one. Like, this is quite a cool niche for Mr. Rime. So, get Slack Off. And that's pretty cool. So it gets very reliable recovery. And it also gets both of the defense boosting moves, like Calm Mind to boost your special attack as well. And then Iron Defense. Apparently it gets Iron Defense. So it's got the super boosting set where you've got both defenses increasing and reliable recovery. Not many Pokemon get that. Mr. Rime does, apparently. And it's got pretty respectable bulk, to be fair. Like, it's actually pretty reasonable. And very reasonable after going for 1 Calm Mind or 1 Iron Defense. Now, I think that you should probably have Freeze Dry as your attacking move. That is going to be consistent. That is definitely going to be the most consistent move that you could have as your 1 attacking move, because you obviously only have space for 1 attacking move. But if you are a madman, you can go for Stored Power. If you are setting up this Mr. Rime to just never die and then sweep, you can go full in with the Stored Power, but You can't hit dark types, which is pretty bad. Freeze Dry can hit everything. And you definitely needed to have set up a lot for stored power to come into play. So Freeze Dry, you just Calm Mind once, and then you can still actually do respectable damage. Stored power, you really, really need to Iron Defense a lot and Calm Mind a lot so that you do damage, and that may be turns that you don't have access to. So, one other thing that you could do, if you were having stored power, you could run some simple Pokemon, simple beam Pokemon more like, or Skill Swap Zubat as well. That would also work. But yeah, you could simple this Mr. Rime if you simple beam yourself and then go for some super boosts with the Calm Mind and Iron Defense. Like simple Iron Defense plus 4 defense immediately, that could win you the game. But not too many Pokemon get simple beam, and not many Pokemon even have space for simple beam on their sets. So that could be quite a cool niche for Mr. Rime. But this is actually a very reasonable set. I do wonder if this has popped up in singles. Like this set should have popped up in singles. Maybe Stored Power over Freeze Dry. But I would be surprised if it hadn't. But those are probably the 2 best niches I could find for Mr. Rime. Like I did say you could go for stuff like Trick Room and all that stuff, but there are better Pokemon to Trick Room, so go for the niches of the Pokemon. So with Galarian Mr. Mime, it should just be pure support. Like it's got only 90 special attacks, so it's really not doing too much damage. Don't worry about doing damage with the Galarian Mr. Mime. Just go pure support with this Mr. Mime. Because it actually hits a very, very reasonable speed stat. Like, base 100 is very good. It outspeeds a lot of the meta. So going for fast Icy Winds is going to be very nice with this Mr. Mime. You do want to go max speed, so you can at least speed tie with Charizards to make use of those Icy Winds as fast as you can. And then just gets very nice support, like Fake Out and Helping Hand and stuff. You probably want Trick Room, even though you're going pretty fast with the Mr. Mime. Trick Room is a very reasonable pairing with Icy Wind. It may sound counterintuitive to have both Icy Wind and Trick Room, but if you've seen all the Cresselias back in the previous formats, you know that Icy Wind and Trick Room is a very, very good combination because you get to choose which speed control you want. Because you can just start spamming Icy Winds and then just go for speed control like that. Or if they're going to out speed control you, then you just go for Trick Room. So that's how the Cresselia worked, and there's no reason why Mr. Mime can't be a Cresselia that gets Fake Out as well, which is quite nice. But it does actually get very reasonable support moves. Like all the moves that I've listed on the side there, they're all entirely reasonable support moves. Like Freeze Dry would hit like the 4 times super effective, things like that I said before, like the Gastrodons and all that stuff. So if you really need to hit Gastrodons or Dracovish or whatever, then you could still go Freeze Dry. It would be quite hard to drop one of those moves though. Like I feel like those 4 moves are probably the best for Galarian Mr. Mime, because like I said, you do want to go absolute pure support. And speaking of pure support, you also want to go pure support with Cantonian Mr. Mime as well, because it's really not worth going for an offensive Mr. Mime. You might as well use something like Gardevoir instead, even Galarian Rapidash as well. If you want to go offense with your Psychic Fairy type, the Mr. Mimes should be absolute supports. Like, don't bother doing damage with the Mr. Mimes. Let the other Pokemon do damage. And one of the things that Cantonian Mr. Mime has over Galarian Mr. Mime is Wide Guard. Wide Guard is only on Cantonian Mr. Mime, and it is a very good move. It is not really used at all in this meta. Like, to be fair, not many Pokemon learn Wide Guard. I guess like Conkeldurr and stuff do. But no one's using Wide Guard on Conkeldurr. But then again, most people are using it as just pure offense. But yeah, not many Pokemon that have space for Wide Guard on their movesets use it. So Mr. Mime definitely has space for it because you are going absolute pure support. So Ally Switch and Wide Guard is a very nice combination. Not too many Pokemon get access to that. It's kind of the pseudo Follow Me. Like Follow Me and Wide Guard is obviously the pure support, the best pure support set. But Ally Switch you'll have to make do. And yeah, because you've got Technician as well, you'll effectively get the stab boost on the Icy Wind, so it's going to be as strong as Galarian Mr. Mime's Icy Wind because of that Technician boost. You don't want to bother with Filter or anything because you really don't have any bulk on Mr. Mime. Like, his defenses are just awful, so don't even bother. Just go Focus Sash and just do reasonable damage with the Icy Wind. But yeah, partners for the Mr. Mime-Galar, going for all 3 of them. Yeah, Dragapult is definitely the main Pokemon to pair, especially Mr. Rime with. Like, you could have Ice Shot on the Galarian Mr. Mime as well, if you wanted to pair that with the Dragapult, but you'd be hard pressed to find a move slot to drop for the Galarian Mr. Mime, because you do want pure support with it. But the Clefairy as well there, that's just representing the Carmine Iron Defense set on the Mr. Mime if you really, really want to commit to that. Like I said, you could have some simple beam Pokemon like, Surfetch, Linoon, Swoobat, and skill swapping yourself as well. But then Pokemon on the right are like pairing with Galarian Mr. Mime. You want pure support to help other Pokemon set up. Like Excadrill is an obvious one because it can just go for Swords Dances and start sweeping like that. And one of the things that the Cantonian Mr. Mime should be paired with was Duncan Can't Die suggested this, the Belly Drum Charizard that I was using at the beginning of the formats. Mr. Mime, theoretically, is a very good partner for Belly Drum Charizard because it has access to that Wide Guard. It's going to stock those Rock Slides. It's got the pure support with the Fake Out and Ally Switch to be able to enable the Belly Drum as well, so that could be quite a nice niche for the Cantonian Mr. Mime there. So, please put into the comments suggestions for Pokemon you want to see in future Funconventionals. What are the Pokemon that were going to be the next ones? There's still going to be Rapidash. Rapidash is going to be what carried over because it just about didn't beat Mr. Rime. It was very close. Rapidash almost did it. So Rapidash is going back into the poll. There's going to be Cloyster as well as one of the Pokemon, and Runerigus is going to be the third Pokemon. So I'm going to be putting comments into the comment section. Please like the Pokemon that you want to see on the next Funconventional. Also put into the comments the Pokemon you would like to see on the next Funconventional, and also like other people's comments. Because, in general, I'm going to choose other liked comments as the next Pokemon in the polls. So if someone suggests a Pokemon you want to see, like that comment as well, so that I can see that people want to have that Pokemon in the next poll. So going through like the 2 stages of the liking to promote the Pokemon up to Funconventional. But that's going to be Mr. Rime, Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime-Galarian there. Thanks for watching.